world's most respected MMO news site, Massively Overpowered, comes a programme that pits one MMO against another in a battle of wits. To the death. Welcome to Massively Opinionated. Media personalities from all over the internet come to this forum to face off in the ultimate debate. Everyone is entitled to their wrong opinion, but ours is the only one that matters. Having heard that someone was wrong on the internet, it's your host, Larry Everett!
Hey everyone, this is Larry Everett with Massively Opinionated, and you're watching the third episode, and today we are talking about free-to-play. Free-to-play MMOs have just, bombarded the web and the whole genre right now, and there's a lot of debate going on about free-to-play, and that's what we're here to discuss. We're going to discuss the biggest tropes in free-to-play, and but first I should introduce my panel this time around. I have Winter is here.
Oh God! I've never heard that one.
the editor at MMOBomb. It's Jason Winter. How are you, sir?
I'm doing okay, though. If we keep doing these morning sessions, we're going to have to change the name of the show to Massively Caffeinated.
I think we could do that. That would be amazing.
All right.
All right. And then I also have the senior reporter from Massively Overpowered, Justin Olivetti, who does the Lotro and Perfect 10, and amongst other things, he is... how you doing, Justin? You look a little sheepish.
Hello, everybody.
We should just keep it like that.
Happy, just don't shear me.
Yeah. We'll just keep it like that the whole show. We'll just... Alright. And also, as well from Massively Overpowered, she does Guild Chat and the Flame Seeker Chronicles. It's Tina Lauro. How's it going? Good to have you on the show again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Alright, so I'm going to go over the rules here really quickly. Everybody that's seen the show before, I'm sure, is familiar with the rules, but let me state them again really quickly. What's going to happen is I've got 4 questions that I have asked these guys ahead of time, so they've had time to prep, and we've been able to make sure that they don't all have the same answer, and they get a point for the best argument. I base my judgment on their argument, not necessarily on my opinion on the actual answer to the question, but rather the argument that is presented. And then at the end of the show, the person with the most points wins the game and is internet famous for the next week. So and then I do have, for some reason there happens to be a tie. I do have a question that they have not seen yet. They will not be able to prepare for it, but they will have to come up with an answer, and we'll get into the rules of that if we have to by the end of the show. So let's get started here. I think the sheep is going to win. I don't.
Oh man, why should I even bother?
I know. Fred is purple, so
He's a Rouse-Dowser. Rouse-Dower.
I've got a pig. Does that count?
Yeah. There you go.
All right, so let's get to the first question here. This one, I don't know. This is just a general question. I want to start it off pretty simple, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be as simple as it appears on the front at first. So which is the biggest thing that turns players off of free-to-play games in the Western market? Obviously, free-to-play games in the Eastern market are just like huge, but in Western market, there's still some controversy regarding them. So I'm gonna go to Jason first. And what is your answer? What is the biggest thing that turns people off of free-to-play games?
To me, it's something that I call it the used car salesman syndrome. It's like how when you go to buy a used car, go someplace like that, it's like you're going to get screwed somehow. You just don't know how. and they do their best to hide it. And that's kind of how I feel like a lot of free-to-play games go. They still try to push you into something, and they try to almost hide their monitoring system. Like they'll use their own kind of currency, like gold or station cash, cartel coins, whatever you want to call it. So instead of buying $5 to buy a sword or something like that, you're spending 600 points or 750 points on something. So it's like that the cost is hidden, and you're never quite sure what it's really costing.
Okay, so it's mostly like the hidden cost behind it, like the veil that is put over how much money you're actually spending.
Yeah, and stuff even like the loot, like the drop rate of stuff on lock boxes or something like that, or even something as simple as like how they just throw the word free out there all the time in their marketing, whatever, like free this, free that, and then you get in and you're like, well, it's not actually free. Who would have known? That's like classic like used car salesman kind of thing. Come to our lot, get this car for $2,000. You get there, it's like, yeah, $2,000, but did you want tires? Did you want an engine? Yeah, that'll cost you some more.
All right, so, I'm gonna throw this now over to Justin, and you go ahead. What is the biggest thing that you think keeps people away in the West from free to play games?
Well, I think everybody kind of in the anti-free-to-play argument here perceives that non-free-to-play games are this pure, wonderful bastion of development that is unrestrained by any external forces. And when you go free-to-play, then you're sacrificing this quality development for a design dictated by marketing and finances. So suddenly you have, and I believe that's perceived or real depending on the game. You may have disruption of immersion by these elements in the game that people didn't have before, which is subscription or buy-to-play. Paywall, smack your head again.
Oh, we're losing you a little bit there, Justin. We'll see what happens. Okay. All right. Well, Justin is figuring out what's going on there. We'll go ahead and go to Tina. What do you think is the biggest thing that? Oh, Justin's still trying to come in. That's awesome.
For me, it comes down to our skepticism about the word free. My dad would have taught me from a very young age that you don't get something for nothing. And I know I'm not alone in that. When we hear the word free, we automatically think, what is the catch? And the word's just so pervasive in retail marketing and POS that we'd find in shops that we now actively seek out that catch. So if you go into like your local supermarket and ask, can you just take the free 50% out of their 50% free packs, you'll soon be told where to go. So we're just so exposed to that word free that I think that turns us straight off just even as a buzzword. Do you ever see the way folks just rush on by free samples because they don't want to be bothered by the sales rep because they know they're going to be bothered into buying something? Yeah, that's what we have with free-to-play games.
Hey, I don't want to make these guys arguments for them, but I don't know. I do free samples all the time.
I go to Sam's Club. I get a whole meal right there at Sam's Club from samples.
That's right. So, but at any rate, I do want to first off, I want to differentiate between what Jason is saying and what Tina is saying. Basically, Tina is looking for the catch. Like, what? Okay, what is actually going on here? What are you really trying to sell me? Like, although they're both kind of hidden kind of things, it's the perception that there's something that they're not telling you. Whereas Jason, it's kind of I'm assuming that it's like mostly up front. Like, hey, look, buy these points or coins or whatever, and that is your hidden cost. They hide it behind that sort of thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So, why? But I do want to ask Justin first. Actually, his question first. I want to know why. What games have you noticed that don't sacrifice quality, because that is a big thing that people talk about all the time with MMO development and free to play. Go ahead, Derpy Pony.
So I actually do not have as much of a stigma about free to play as some people do, and I know this is a very divisive topic. I think Rift is a really great example for a game that went free to play and still created a very openly welcome game that doesn't have paywalls, that isn't sacrificing quality. In fact, they've kept the quality levels up. They pumped out 2 expansions since going free to play. They've made the expansions completely free, but they did charge for new classes. I felt that was pretty fair, and most of their funds probably come from cosmetics, come from just fun little packs that people buy, and I'm totally okay with that. So I think, and I've heard a lot of people really hold up Rift as an exemplary form of free to play in the market.
Yeah, right. Defiance is pretty good too. When Trion's in control of their own games, they work out all right. But when they
Trove, it's great.
Yeah, but then the Trion's other thing we won't talk about.
But however, that does bring me to
End of Nations.
That does bring me to the question about the hidden points and stuff, because that's what Trion does that as well, right? With they kind of have their coins and whatnot. So how does that compare? Because I got to make a judgment here as to which one probably turns the most people off. What is there hidden cost there? Is there an easy? Let me ask Jason. Go ahead. Jason, go ahead. How is that compared to the development cost? Because we know that Trion does a decent job as far as their development is concerned. So, how do the points turn?
I haven't played a ton of Rift since I got into it, but since it went free to play. But from what I've seen and what I've played of, it is pretty good. Yeah, and everybody's going to do some portion of that. They're going to have some little bit of their points, or like I said, drop rates or lockboxes, something like that. I guess when it seems like it's just ubiquitous, when it's just all over the place, and
can you give an example of that? Like who does that?
Just about anybody. Good old cartel coins.
Okay,
you're more than familiar with.
Yeah.
I mean, they again, it's SWTOR. They just seem to put everything behind that, and they have so much there. So we talk about all the basic stuff like the UI, the hot bars, hiding your helmet slot, and everything. All the stuff that you're not quite sure really how much it's supposed to be. And you even go to SWTOR, you're like, what do I really need? How much do I have to play? How much do I have to pay to get the good experience? It's like it's not going to be free. You just aren't sure how much it's going to set you back until you get in there and have to do like 8,000 different math computations to figure out how much you're going to need in order to get what you want. So,
okay, so I'm gonna throw this to Tina, and then we'll do a really quick final arguments here. But Tina, I do want to hit on yours at least one other time, because I do think you have something here, because it is very common to feel like, oh, what's the catch here? What's going on? What am I really spending? Those kinds of things. So, can you give an example of a game that does this kind of thing? Like, oh, that's kind of shady in its practices.
I don't even think it's so much about game-specific examples rather than marketing blurb examples.
Okay.
You would have very, very common overused phrases more that I would talk about. Things like the whole 50% off for a limited time only, and sort of like pressured gates like that, where there's a time limit and there's an offer that's supposed to be so attractive that you can't say no. And that sort of puts a lot of pressure on buyers to act fast. And it's more that sort of trend more so than specific examples that I would rely on. But.
Okay. I think, go ahead, Jason, I'll throw it back to you for a final argument regarding the point systems that different cartel coins or whatever, the different systems they have. Go ahead. What's the final argument regarding that?
The final argument is just that nobody wants to be taken for a ride, and when you work that hard to kind of hide your costs, whether it's behind coins or behind drop rates, whatever, you just get the feeling that they're trying to hide something. You get the feeling that someone is trying to deceive you, even if they're not. Some, like I say, some of the systems aren't so bad, Rift or whatever, but you still get the notion that, especially if you have one bad experience, you get the feeling that everyone's trying to do it to you somehow. It's like even if you go to a perfectly decent used car salesman, you're going to have that one experience from the bad one in the back of your head, and you're going to go, well, how is this guy going to screw me? So it's always going to be there. I think we've all had that, and I think we all go in with a certain measure of suspicion these days.
All right, Justin, go ahead. Find an argument why development is the biggest turnoff. Go ahead.
I think it's when the developers are being stingy that it gets to be a huge turnoff. I think we'd be very remiss if we didn't mention two great examples, which are League of Legends and Marvel Heroes, both of which have a lot to sell in terms of cosmetics, but they're also incredibly generous. And they're able to be generous because they keep giving away stuff but put in more game. So just as much as they're giving out, they keep adding more stuff in for people to buy. So it's very hard for people to complain when you're getting tons of free stuff all the time, yet they're constantly churning out new content. And they've developed a really good model to do that in both of those games because their games are centered around new classes, new characters, and new customization versus having to develop the traditional MMO where you're coming up with new lands and stuff like that. So both of those I've seen very few people go, oh, I really hate that Marvel Heroes free to play. In fact, I've seen a lot of young people, teenager kids go, we don't have money, but we're able to play this game and occasionally get free heroes and get free stuff, and that's really awesome. It's enabled us to do that.
Okay, I'm going to have to this. Although I probably would have. I like Jason's argument regarding the point system because it does hide a lot of. We can't see that on camera right now. That the point systems, especially what I was really hoping for, and because I had the answer and I didn't want to give your argument for you, but one of the things I was really looking for Jason to say was Neverwinter. Neverwinter is probably the most horrible.
I have heard about that. I've stayed away from it enough. That's why I didn't bring it up too much. Didn't want to impugn it too heavily, but yeah.
Yeah. So I was hoping for an example of like Neverwinter or something like that, and I really wish, and I also really wish that Tina could have given an example regarding the advertising because there's all sorts of that out there. That's kind of misleading. So I'm going to have to give the point to Justin because, oh my gosh, the number of examples that he gave was amazing. So point goes to Justin.
So you want quantity, not quality. Got it.
All right. So, wow, that was a good round, guys. So, again, we'll go through this.
There you go.
Oh no, Justin's turning into a robot.
All right.
There we go. Okay, now you're back. All right. So this next question has to do with the ads. We were talking about ads with Tina, and now let's really dive deep into these ads. And we've got examples of these ads because they are kind of amazing. Let me go to Justin first, and if he doesn't freeze on us, because he's really got an awesome connection today. So there we go. Justin, what was the ad that you picked, and why is it the worst that you've seen?
What came to mind was this particular one of World of Warcraft when they started introducing the level 20 trials, and that was totally fine. I'm fine with the trial, but they came out with a series of ads, and they still display it where it says World of Warcraft free to play, asterisk until level 20. And it's so misleading. For starters, the phrase free to play is very hard to define already, and for people it conjures up very specific yet sometimes differing images. But almost never does the term free to play equate with trial. I felt that that was very misleading. It actually took the phrase and just broke it down even further. It's something that a lot of people want with World of Warcraft, so for them to say, we're free to play, haha, just kidding, look at our lawyer speak, and we're not, it just aggravates me.
Yeah.
Every time I see that, I go, screw you, nerd, screw you. So,
yeah, that's and we showed. I just showed the ad on the screen. You guys can't see that, but I just showed it on the screen, and it's. I didn't believe it actually. Whenever Justin mentioned it, I'm like, what? And then he showed me the ad. There it is. All right, let's go to Tina. And
Okay.
what was your ad that?
Well, when you asked me the question, I happened to be browsing on MMORPG.com, and there was this fantastic banner, and it just screamed everything that I hate about these ads. It was an ad for Stormthrone, and it is just the most rip-offy sort of ad you could ever imagine in your life. It is awful. It's like, how many game tropes can one advert hold? So it has a Pokemon rip-off tagline that says, gotta gank 'em all. Yeah, it actually says, gotta gank 'em all.
Yeah, we're looking at it right now. Yeah.
It has this kind of troll creature that looks vaguely like trolls in World of Warcraft. And it has someone turning Super Saiyan in the corner. So I presume that's a Dragon Ball Z ripoff. I don't know. I just think it is absolutely terrible. It could not be more generic, and it tells you nothing about the playstyle of the game either.
No, it does. It totally does. You gotta gank them all.
Yeah, I gotta gank them all. Play now.
Yeah, that's what it's totally about.
Free. Play now.
What do you? I don't understand.
Why do we have to go and gank M? Who is M?
M. Well, M.
Yeah.
I've heard some. M has done some pretty terrible things.
Pretty
What if I
much.
only want to gank a few people? I don't want to gank them all, just some.
I know.
Can I not play
and
this
using
game?
that term just limits your audience that you're trying to,
Yeah.
advertise to.
I don't think I've
Yeah,
ever
you
used
could-
the word gank in my life
only
before having to
people-
say that out loud.
Only people who want to gank M is.
Yeah.
All right, Jason. What was your ad?
Well, I was going to go the easy route and just grab something with boobs, but because there's no lack of those in free to play. But I decided to go the other route because if it's not sex that people are after, what are they after? Money. So I went with the ads that just seem to be popping up all the time. Although I couldn't find one when I was doing this, I had to do a Google search, but I get them all the time for /Entropia Universe /Planet Calypso, which are basically the same game.
Yep.
And if Larry's showing them now,
Yeah.
I love how the left one is like, looking for a mature gaming community? Ooh.
Oh yeah, looking for a mature gaming community. Yes.
Which is not, again, not the boob stuff. That a lot of those are like that. Like, looking for a mature MMO? Here, come here, baby. Whatever. Add real cash value to your avatar. It's like, again, it's sort of the used car salesman kind of thing. It's like, oh, are you looking for a good deal? Looking for money? Here you go. Get right in. It's free to play, guys. Then you can make real money. Isn't that awesome?
So why is and since I got it on the screen, and I'm not really familiar with Planet Calypso because I don't click on those ads.
Oh God, of course not.
So why is that misleading? I understand that it definitely is, but
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's misleading because there's the one guy. I don't remember what it is. Some guy who actually sold an asteroid in this game for like $300,000.
Oh my gosh.
But to me, but that's the thing. It's like God, what am I thinking? It's almost like a lottery. It's like the lottery advertising. Like, hey, buy a ticket, you could win $10 million. Yeah, you could, but you're not going to.
So
Perfectly honest.
So it's misleading in the. Oh my gosh, I can't. So it's misleading in the sense that the chances of you actually making real money are slim.
Yeah.
Slim.
I mean, it's just like there's such a limited chance for you getting this, and that it's all over the place. It's their big hook, but it's something you're just never going to do unless you're one of those guys who's going to spend like 26 hours a day doing it, and probably getting their equivalent of Goon Swarm and can just go all over the place and kick butt. So, yeah.
All right. let me go back. I probably don't need to, but I'm going to go back to Tina and ask about this the Stormthrone ad. Do you know anything about this game itself? I mean, what?
I actually really, really don't. I know nothing about the game itself. And do you know why? Because I would never click on that ad in a million years because it tells me nothing about the game. And that is why I don't know about the game, Larry. And I think that tells everything there is to tell about that ad.
So, is it... Okay.
It's such a tough.
The big thing here is it that it's just... this is going to be a really tough choice. I'm not sure which one to pick because they're all...
just like crappy free-to-play games, they're all the same.
It kind of is, and I think, and as of right now, I mean, Tina's that one is doing the worst to advertise its game in and of itself. I mean, the other ones, although they are misleading, they're at least trying to advertise their game. but this one isn't even trying to advertise its game. So, but I do want to throw to Justin one more time and just. This actually, let me pull up Justin's ad here again because this one is completely misleading, and I don't know. I'm gonna have to throw it to you guys, and I'll throw it to Justin. Why is yours worse? Why is this one the most misleading of the ads here?
I don't think it's necessarily any more or less misleading. It's just misleading in a different way. I mean, a lot of these try to sell you on sex or try to sell you on just cheapness. Hey, come to our game. We're awesome. We're hardcore. World of Warcraft already knows that it's popular, so it's just trying to do a little switcheroo and say, hey, come over here. We're free, but not really. So it's dishonest. It's just a different way, but I don't think it's any more or less than these other great examples.
All right, I'm going to have to make a call here on this one pretty quickly, and I think, gosh, they're really bad. All of these ads are really bad, and it's really tough to pick them. And I do like that. I do like that Justin's is just totally off the wall and kind of. Jason. Now we said at the beginning. Now I'm messing it up. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. Now I'm messing it up. Sorry, Jason's is just the mature gaming community. What does that exactly mean?
If you've moved off of those kiddie games where you just get in-game gold,
right?
You play a real game where you get real money with real men and even says on that to add real cash value to your avatar.
And clearly anybody that's been in MMOs for any period of time knows that, in Justin's example, that WoW is not a free-to-play game by any stretch of the imagination. And but unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to go with Tina on this one. Give her the point because that tells us nothing, and it pulls in tropes that don't even relate to. Probably don't even relate to the game. So
I'm sure they all came together perfectly in a boardroom meeting.
Boardroom meeting of one. So there's one guy that does that game, I'm sure, and he does it from his basement. So anyway, point goes to Tina.
Yay!
Awesome. And so we have 1 point to Justin, 1 point to Tina. And we have to get.
Come on, Jason.
We got to get you on the board, Jason.
Say it. Come on, I know.
This is he's not part of the website. Come on.
This is your
discrimination.
Round.
Clearly.
This is your round, Jason. All right. So, this question is along the same lines of what we've kind of been talking about already. Which game has the most? Except throws it on the other side. We've been talking about what was the most inappropriate. This time we want to talk about which is the most appropriate payment model for its customer. Which game has that? So we've gone to Justin and Jason already, so we'll go to Tina first on this one. What was your example?
Okay. So you're going to have to hear me out with this one, okay? My best example was actually Neverwinter's Send Shop. And why this works for me is because I've been able to play the game, even though it pops up every time I log in, and I've never once had to click it. I click that X every single time, and I have not needed to touch it.
You have uncommon willpower.
I also like that dedicated players can they can accrue what they need by exchanging astral diamonds, and that used to be terrible because there was no hope in hell that you could make enough astral diamonds to sort of make that work because of the exchange rate, but it's becoming a little bit more feasible over time. I also like that what you buy with Zen isn't going to really mark you out spectacularly as this special snowflake that can't be touched in the game. It's more like sort of your additional conveniences, like your faster mounts or pretty meaningless aesthetic things.
Okay, so the money can be earned in game. I'm just reiterating here so that I'm clear with this. So so like the cash shop money, the Astral Diamonds, which is what Neverwinter uses, can be accrued in game, and that the items that you can buy are
the Astral Diamonds. They can be converted to Sen. Midway currency. Yeah, because you always have to put these things through multiple filters so that it's way harder to work out what money's actually worth.
Gee, if only someone would have brought that up at some point.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna toss this question now over to Jason.
You're sure not Justin?
Jason? Yeah, Jason, you are on the camera.
You can't have us on a show together anymore. All right, I'm going to say
we look so much alike.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the most appropriate free-to-play system is I'm going to go with Hearthstone. Because as someone who's played a lot of CCGs, been in that business a long time, you're used to paying $10 to get into it, and then if you want to for a starter deck, then if you want packs, you got to pay $3 or $4, whatever each. You got to pay like $50 to $100, really almost just to get started in a physical CCG.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Hearthstone has that same thing. You can buy packs, till your credit card is maxed out or whatever. And yeah, there's something to be said for buying power that way. A lot of people call it a pay-to-win game because of that. Again, that's kind of how a CCG works. Like you're never going to not have that having more cards is to make you better. But I think Blizzard's done a really good job of making it so that you can do pretty well. You can have a good time, not only with the basic cards they provide, but also just by playing through, earning enough coins and credit and whatever, and just buying stuff for free. I have close to 300 hours, I think, in that game, and I haven't spent anything on it. And I do okay. I get into like the low double digits for when I actually really make an attempt to get up to ranked. If you want to be, like top ranked, up to rank 5 or something like that, you probably are going to have to spend money and get legendaries and stuff that way. But you can have a pretty good time and have a lot of fun, I think, for no money whatsoever. And the arena is great too.
So basically, you're saying that this game is completely playable by spending no money, and it works, and it's a lot of fun, and you can. Although if you want to do high ranked stuff, you have to put.
Yeah, you're probably gonna have to, unless you just are great at just grinding stuff out.
All right, sounds cool. And
it's as good as you can do for a CCG. I think.
All right, so I'm gonna toss this to Just. All you guys have like completely different answers in this, and I really like that a lot. So we'll go to Justin now. Justin, what was yours?
Well, obviously, Star Wars: The Old Republic, because
not pandering at all. Not pandering.
Okay, seriously. I'll go back. I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about this earlier, which is why I pulled out League of Legends as an example earlier. But let's talk about that again. I think it's it's not just because it's a popular game. It has a very popular model in which they're very generous by characters out to everybody who starts the game. They make most of their cash by selling skins, selling relics, selling things that aren't necessarily equated with direct power. And I think this is a great system because it's very accessible to a new player, where they're not looking to monetize the new player. They're looking to monetize people who are established in the game, who've been in the game for a long time and are very dedicated and want to customize and want to be more and more involved. I think that's a great system for free-to-play, where you want to make it as accessible as possible. Yeah, it's a little bit of a bait and switch, but you don't want, like, again, go back to Star Wars, where, yeah, you are smacking up against that paywall right from the get-go. You are told, if you're a subscriber, you can't have these quest rewards. You can't equip purple gear. And I'm told that level 1, that's a turn-off. Games like League of Legends, they're just like, here, have the game. Play the game. You won't be penalized if you don't pay, but if you want to pay, you get extras. You get to be more involved and have a better experience. And I think that's great.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, Tina. You got to. I can't because
instantly disqualified.
I like Neverwinter. I think Neverwinter is a fantastic game, but I have to. I know.
You just can't go there, can you?
I know for certain that with the different. Show me. I guess this is the best thing I can ask of this is kind of show me how this works for the customer. How it is. Like really good for them, because right now, I mean, I know because we've talked about it earlier in the show, and we've talked about it here. There, and you've mentioned it a couple times. There are several levels before you can do this. You do this kind of thing, which you trade in for Astral Diamonds, and then Astral Diamonds then transfer to Zen. And I mean, there is folders upon folders, and it seems extremely convoluted and complicated for the customer, and that's really. So, explain to me how that works for the Neverwinter player and why that's appropriate for them.
I think it works because your figures on these things are actually clear in-game. So, if you're the kind of player who's going to sink in a lot of time, it's kind of like you can quite easily see those numbers moving, and you can see what's going to happen as you play. You know what you can earn in one day, and a lot of people have number crunch those sort of things to make that work for them. So hardcore players have the chance to grind those things, whereas the more casual Neverwinter players like me, because that's actually the MMO that I use just to sort of chill out from like my more serious MMOs.
Like in Trophy Universe.
I don't play it very, very hardcore or anything like that. I don't really need to care about those things, and I kind of like that. I close that tab and I walk away and I go and I explore a beautiful little world and keep my fingers in my ears going la 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 la. I don't need to care about currency, and that's it.
All right.
I think it's kind of funny.
So many comments I can give right now, but I'm just going to...
No, go ahead. What's the... No, we're supposed
to... The best free-to-play is the one you can ignore the most easily. Okay, I got it. Just la la la, fingers in my ears.
Yep.
All right.
No, really.
There's a point to that. I sort of see that logic, I guess, but yeah.
I think it's a little ironic because I think Star Trek Online I've always held up as one of the most generous free-to-play offerings. And it's almost the same level of, the structure they have with Neverwinter. It's just less intrusive. It's less demanding. I mean, you can really play that game without ever feeling pressured to grind Astral Diamonds or Dilithium the way you can in Neverwinter. So it's weird how Cryptic designed those two systems, yet Star Trek, I think, came out a lot better than Neverwinter.
Yeah, I'm going to have to, man. I'm right. I really hate doing this because I really like Neverwinter. I think Neverwinter is a great game. I just don't think the free to play system in it is, and I'm not getting a clear picture of how this is better than like Hearthstone's and League of Legends. But I do have to turn to Hearthstone and League of Legends to kind of figuring out what is the differentiating between the two and how one is better than the other. And I know that we are talking about two different kinds of games here, and this is really tough. And what's
how much have you spent on your Magic the Gathering collection, Larry?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, so here's
that's the point that got me.
Here's the thing that I'm interested in knowing is, does Hearthstone feel like a regular trading card game like you can trade stuff and between players and that kind of thing, or do you still get that physical feel to it? And
you can't trade.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. See, I didn't think so, and that was so that's kind of a point against the game, because one of the things that is cool with TCG is that you can I got this cool card or I can trade it and it becomes something a little bit more tangible.
But one of the uncool things about TCGs is that rare card that costs $80 or whatever. You can pull it from a pack maybe, but otherwise you have to go to the store and you have to pay $80 for it or whatever. And the way they address that in Hearthstone is you can break down your cards for dust and you can craft the new cards.
Absolutely.
So again, you can still get stuff totally for free. Even this.
It's a good system. It's a good system.
Yeah.
Okay, so how basically then
they really can't do trading.
Okay, well, no, I think that's definitely a good argument against trading. That you don't have to trade, you got this instead.
Well, they can't do it too because people make free accounts, get the free pack, and just trade that to everything. So.
True enough. All right, so, man, I don't know which one to go with. Please help me, Justin. Sell me on League of Legends system over Hearthstone system.
I don't know. I think Blizzard kind of knocked it out of the park with their first attempt to really, truly do free to play. So I'm actually going to say you should probably give it to Jason, because not only does he need a point desperately,
Sympathy points. Oh,
well, it's good because you can earn stuff. You can earn gold for free. You can buy your packs for free. They've actually been very generous with giving out free packs and promotions. But at the same time, you do kind of come up a little short if you're not paying a lot of money into it, because you're not getting the legendaries to really stay competitive.
they just play arena all the time like I do.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they're both good systems. Of course, they're two very different types of games,
right.
And we're not even talking about MMOs here. We're talking about a MOBA versus a card game. I don't know.
Well, they're all kind of massively multiplayer games. So, but all right, I'll give the point to Jason, and I was leaning that way. Anyway, because
Look at me, Mom.
because it felt like a TCG. It really, and which is one of the, that's definitely a different feel to the game, and you don't lose that feel converting it to digital and whatnot, which a lot of TCGs do. You lose the complete feel of playing a TCG. It feels like another kind of game. So. Point goes to Jason. Yay! All right, last question, and whoever gets this question wins the game. So, yay!
What do we win? A date with Larry.
Internet points.
Internet points. You get internet points and internet fame for a week. A whole week, guys. Okay, so question number 4 is... I've kept with the theme of which I guess we've done every show except for maybe the very first one that didn't air. I've had people build their MMO, but this time we are going to go with a free to play kind of system, because we're talking about free to play games, and so I have asked each of the panelists here to build the perfect MMO. They've been asked to give 3 features, just like the other one. The last episode is 3 features: the genre and the developer. And although the genre I don't think is going to matter so much this time around, the developer and the features are going to be key here. So I'm gonna. We started with Jason, and we started.
No, I was the first one on the first question now.
Yeah. We start with Jason, so we go to Jason again. So, Jason.
All right. I know we're a little short on time, so I'm going to kind of rocket through this a little quickly. The basic concept is that, especially when we were looking at the last thing, we had Neverwinter versus, League of Legends and Hearthstone. League of Legends and Hearthstone are PvP games. Neverwinter is primarily a PvE kind of game. And that's what a lot of MMOs are, whereas the other types of games, the MOBAs, card games, shooters, whatever, those tend to be, in terms of free to play, those people tend to like a lot more, seem a lot more even, with the microtransactions just being cosmetic or advancement based, like XP bonuses or whatever. PvE games just have a harder time with that. Slotor. Excuse me. So what I would like is a PvE free to play MMO that takes the PvP lessons to heart and doesn't gate content, doesn't have really strict vertical leveling where it's like you go from this zone to this zone to this zone. because that's where you tend to get a lot of those paywalls and a lot of those those hurdles for people to get over. So I want to have something where you're kind of in the core loop of the game from the first minute, not 50 hours to level, adventure, then do raids. I like something. I always thought of something like a PvE version of something like PlanetSide 2, where you have maybe like waves of enemies that come out from wherever. But instead of fighting other players like you do in PlanetSide or something like that, you fight these waves. Almost maybe even a little more like even kind of like Rift, like how they do the invasions all the time. Yeah. But that's the thing, is it would be that all the time instead of just occasionally, because Rift still has kind of traditional quest system and dungeons and whatever tacked on.
Okay.
So that's the sort of thing I think would be kind of interesting for them to try to do, because then you could do it and then make it like a PvP game, and that you do just sell skins, you just sell advancement and that sort of thing, instead of selling levels and having to sell gear and whatever and so on. The genre, again, I'm not too picky about the genre. Like I'm kind of traditional. I still like my fantasy. Still tend to lean towards tab targeting. So that's just what I think, and that's what I think is more comfortable for most people. In terms of the developer to make it, I'd have to go with ArenaNet, just because I agree that there are some issues with Guild Wars 2 in terms of if you don't like the combat system, you don't like Trinity, whatever. But if I'm going to have a game with open world PvE, they're sort of the ones that I think are at the cutting edge of that. It's been a little iffy with some of the earlier stuff they've done, but I think they've learned from a lot of what they've done, and they could really make a pretty good show of it.
Alrighty.
Plus they're good with their microtransactions.
Alrighty. Let's go to Justin. What is the MMO that you have made? His face is stuck that way. I think it is actually stuck that way. Hold on a second. Justin, do me a favor and do me a favor and it's funny that it's stuck that way. Anyway,
he's getting like 3 frames per second.
Refresh your browser real quick. I'll cut this out in the final. He was stuck with a big goofy smile on my screen. It was great.
I can't hear some of you at all for most of the time. Like, I have no idea what his arguments are.
Having all 3 of the other webcams up.
There you go. Yay!
Sorry.
This is amazing. Now I can argue against you better. Actually,
until the...
Okay.
We have horrible internet in here.
All right, now we'll go to Justin. Go ahead. What is the MMO that you built?
Okay, I would go with post-apocalyptic, because I would love to see a Fallout MMO. That's been on my heart lately. Any sort of post-apocalyptic, like traditional mutated creatures, Fallen Earth kind of thing. I think it's a largely untapped genre, and I would definitely take a cue from the Secret World by decoupling the stats from visible gear. Have gear that you pick up just for the stats, but let us cosmetically tweak our and I would say drown your players in customization options. Go about 25% free customization in-game, gear that you can pick up to look cool. Maybe 25% for the crafters, that are crafter exclusive. And then 50% sell them in the cash shop. Keep churning out new customization options, cosmetics, so that there's always this income stream. You want to buy more and more if you're really into that. I would, oddly enough, and I know I'm going to get some flack for this, I go with Tryon as a developer, because I believe that they have a larger experience with free-to-play right now. Even though Arcade is a really bad example of how to implement it, I think they've done a really good job with Rift and Trove, and I think that they have the experience to come up with a completely new, a new game, and from the ground up, come up with a good free-to-play model for that. They've also have really good involvement with the community, and particularly with Trove, community crowdsourcing is something sort of more and free-to-play games. It's just let's expand it. Trove is really great because they have a limited development team, but they've thrown it out to the community, and they've actually been able to expand the content. And I believe that, I think you could also look at Daybreak and see what they're doing with the crowdsourced content and then gets some money based on that and shares some of those profits with players.
So
and I think that's pretty smart.
Yeah, you did kind of break up there, but I got the gist of what you're saying. So basically, your three features here are the separating the stats and the gear, the cosmetic side of the gear and the stats. So make stats completely separate from cosmetics, and then make 25% of the customizations free, make 25 crafted, and make 50% for sale, right? And and then also I guess the third feature would be like crowdsourced development, right? As far as the zones and those kinds of things. So, and then you want to throw it to Tryon, and you want it post-apocalyptic, which I think is great as well. I think that's a widely untapped genre. So, Tina, go ahead. What is your MMO?
I had fun with this question. Okay, so I just kind of let my imagination run wild, and I came up with something that's kind of wacky. So it's a wee bit off the wall, but hear me out. I would make a tycoon-style MMO in which players could band together in companies that need to develop a particular business in order to succeed. So I'm just going to use like a suit tycoon sort of game as my base to show you where I'm going with it here. Just because, I don't know, I like animals, that'll do. So players could take on different roles inside the companies, and recruitment would work on building a character's CV rather than up skill sets and stuff like that. Via doing lower jobs within larger companies to sort of get you onto the job ladder, and then you would gain sort of experience, and then you could go and seek promotion with other companies. Those work kind of like guilds, I guess. And then like your competency would sort of get you those promotions. I'd also add things like unique tick points that you get for your CV, and prestigious employment, like vacancies that would pop up that would sort of complement your CV. That would be sort of like the main intention, and how you would go about that would be up to you entirely. It would be very sandboxy. Other players then would pay to visit the other zoos or whatever company, depending on what kind of game I was setting up, to scout the competition for new ideas, to even maybe sabotage a local competitor. You would have a chance of getting caught and jailed, of course, which would then impact on your future employability. So you need to be sure that you were good enough to do that. You could also go there to apply for jobs on the down low without your company finding out, whereas if you applied without actually going to them, like your boss could find it and fire you for applying. Yeah. Like all sorts of stuff like
she
that.
She doesn't stop. She's just like, go.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things like that to sort of incentivize you to go and explore these companies.
So who?
And that's where cash would come in, because then you could sell in a cash shop admission tickets, because if you're working lower ranks in a job, maybe you can't afford to go and visit the most prestigious zoo in your area, so then you'd need to go to the cash shop and buy admission tickets so you could go and get yourself a better job so you could play the game better.
So who would make this game?
Well, funny that you should ask. I would actually keep this in-house. I would have my company, Brain and Nerd, make it, so I'd have Massively OP's own Brendan Drain. Why? Because then I could absolutely make it exactly how I would like. Because I could just tell Brendan exactly what I needed out of it, and he would do a fantastic job. If you ever read like Eve Evolved, he is so good with numbers and systems that interlink like that he would get such a kick out of making this as well.
I absolutely loved reading this answer when you sent it to me. I thought it was, but I do have to.
It's too much like real life.
I know.
You have to jockey for position in your company and have to send resumes. It's like, God, I do this for real.
I love like The Sims and stuff like that, though. So it totally
work online.
It totally appeals to me. I love it.
And I think, man, okay, so
Eve without spaceships.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people get a kick out of Eve, and you have to take on
because you're in a spaceship. I don't get to do the spaceship every day. I do have to.
Anyway, those kind of like simulator games for things that most people would find boring do very, very well online. Look at things like, I don't know, like Train Simulator and stuff like that. Those things do very, very well. So people do like doing these things that people would find to be a daily grind. People do enjoy it.
The biggest question I have then is is in regard to Jason's, and why is ArenaNet the most appropriate to make your game?
Well, honestly, like Justin, I did kind of think of Tryon because they do have a lot of experience doing open world stuff. I just think that, and admittedly they've done better with it, I think, with Defiance and Trove. But when Rift first came out, it disappointed me a little bit because, as I said, it was basically a level to go to max level, do dungeons, do raids. And by the way, we're going to toss in some of this open world stuff too. But they just seem a little too hidebound, I think, to old and traditional ways of doing stuff. And I like that ArenaNet is one of the companies, probably about the only one I've seen so far, that's willing to take risks and do some pretty different things, and do it with a AAA budget.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not some little small indie company, because a lot of times what happens, you know, indie companies do the cool stuff, and the big companies then grab it and take it alongside. And I'm not saying, you know, Guild Wars 2 was innovative in every possible way, and they did everything totally original. But they took a lot of the stuff, they examined why that stuff was done the old way in MMOs, and they said, well, we're not going to do it that way because this is what we think people want more. And maybe they were wrong on some of that, but at least they tried. So I would probably trust them the most to be able to do that sort of thing and to execute on it fairly well.
Okay, so the biggest, the two biggest things here, and oh my gosh, it is between the two here that are the you've almost sold me on this, Tina. I'm almost sold on this. Because, but the big thing, and Jason pointed this out, is that this is kind of work online. Explain to me how this isn't going to be work online. Because I like what he said about ArenaNet and how ArenaNet is definitely thinks outside the box and is willing to take risks and whatnot as a AAA company. Why is Zookeeper Online more not like work online? Explain to me how that works.
I think for my idea, what's going to keep it not being work is ultimately the appeal of the theme to the market. You would need to market different themes for different customer bases. You would spread it out like a whole franchise, just like Roller Coaster Tycoon, and how many different permutations there are of that. And that's what's going to capture things, because ultimately what one person finds to be a job and a grind is going to be something that is super interesting to someone else. So you can keep it fun by allowing people to explore the companies that other people set up. I mean, the things that you could have in there to unlock and explore and enjoy could be amazing, particularly if you have big companies who have unlocked things that other guilds really haven't seen. And you had like a server first for those things. Those could have mass appeal to people to go and visit as an attraction in game, which could be really, really interesting.
So, okay, so this last question, I think this is going to be the deciding factor for me, is what does the payment model look like? How is the company going to make money off of this? Tina, go ahead.
Off of my idea, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. For me, the company would make their money by selling the admission tickets for whatever company. Firstly, that would be the most obvious way.
So that's real money. You're using real money to.
Yeah, you could just use real money to buy those tickets, or you can use your in-game wages. Of course, you have the option to just keep grafting until you gain the experience to go and get promotions and earn enough money to go and visit these higher sort of companies and things. Okay. Another thing that you could do to earn money for the company is you can have like a company kitty where they take obviously X% of the profits that company generates, and they could buy company unlocks, and you could put real world money into that to buy, as I was explaining earlier, like new attractions and new unlocks like that. So really, the world would be the developer's oyster there. It'd be very, very easy to put in new packs all the time just to keep that relevant. And it won't be necessarily buy to play because a lot of those things would just be different rather than better.
Yeah, buy to win. Okay. Wow. I really do like your idea, Tina. I really do, and I'm going to have to side with Jason on this one. And I know you gave a really strong argument, and I'm having a little bit of trouble getting over the work online side of it, but that's really
put it in spaceships and it'll be fine. But,
yeah, put it in spaceships and you'll be good.
Yeah.
No,
on a train.
However, that being said, I mean, make that game. I want to see it. I want to see it work. So
you and 6 other people. Anyway.
All right. So point goes to Jason, and that means Jason.
What a comeback!
Yes. All right. Very good. So, man,
now I have to do more work or something, don't I?
Yeah, something like that. All right, yeah. Now you're internet famous, and people are going to find you everywhere. And all right, so Jason, since you are the winner here, I'm going to let you go first and plug whatever you want to plug. What do you got to plug here, sir?
Well, you can find me mostly writing on mmobomb.com, where I'm an editor over there, write all sorts of stuff, do podcasts and so on with Mr. Mike Byrne, who's been on this show before. Find me on Twitter at WinterInformal, and I stream still occasionally, twitch.tv/JasonWinter.
All right, excellent. We definitely look for him there. So, Justin, where can they find you around the internet?
Well, there is a certain alley that if you go to between the hours of 3 a.m. and 7 a.m., you'll find me under some cardboard boxes. Otherwise, I'm, of course, at massivelyop.com, the best website in the universe. You can also check me out, biobreak.wordpress.com. That's my personal blog. I also do a podcast, Battle Bards. That's battlebards.libsyn.com, and that is the world's first and best MMO music podcast.
And Tina, go ahead. Where can people find you?
You will find me on Massively OP, of course. Check out Flameseeker Chronicles, Guild Chat, or MMO Mechanics, and you're going to find me. You'll also find me on Twitter at PurpleTinaBeans, and you can also find me through the work of Brennan Nerd on Predestination, and who knows, even maybe Sea Tycoon sometime in the future.
All right, that's great. And if you want to find more of me, where's my camera? There it is. All right. If you want to find more of me, you can find me on Twitter at Shadow SHADDOE. I am also on hyperspacespeaking.com. You can also, and then of course I am here on Massively Overpowered every week on this show. I also do Tamriel Infinity on the Elder Scrolls Online column, and Hyperspace Beacon, the SWTOR column, and I don't know what I do other stuff too. So the comic, oh my gosh, the comic, definitely look for Sword and Board. So that comes out every Monday. So catch us next week, and we will see you then. Have fun. Bye-bye.